Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. Folks, I think today we're going to introduce something new to my channel. I've been thinking about it for some time now, and I'm going to start a new concept, and we're going to start slowly. Let me explain what I think I'm going to be doing on a weekly basis. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen reviews or reviewers have weekly live streaming shows where for about an hour they interact with their audience and also, talk about all kinds of different things about fountain pen, interesting concepts, journals, inks, etc., etc. So I thought I'd do the same, except that there's quite a learning curve to do a show, a streaming show live. And while I learn how to set up, the cameras and all the editing, etc., I thought I'd do a similar thing, but except I'm going to tape it. So it's going to be missing that interactive, live character, if you will, but we'll get there eventually, and we'll get there, especially if the viewers find it interesting. Then I will take the time necessary for me to be able to learn, educate myself on how it's done, and we'll proceed that way. So I think that on a weekly basis, what I'd like to do is give you a weekly recap of what's going on in our fountain pen community. What are the highlights, my personal highlights, my writing experiences of the week, whether it's, use of pens, whether it's journals, whether it's inks, or any other particular experience that I find warranted of mention. I'm then going to look at what products did I order and what products did I receive, be it inks, be it journals, be it pens, show you those products if I did that were delivered, maybe even speak of a wish list, if you will, that I'm looking at, provide some sneak previews for future videos and ideas, solicit ideas from you as well, and then kind of look at the pens that I've inked for the week, my experiences during the week with those pens, and declare, for example, my fountain pen of the week, if you will. So that would be like, kind of weekly highlights. Then I'd have another part that would deal with, some newsworthy topics. What's going on in our community? What are the trends? What new products I feel should be mentioned? Are there any interesting inks or interesting journals or interesting pens that are coming out? If so, what are they? What are my opinions and thoughts about all of that? What kind of trends do I see popping up in our community and in our hobby? And give you obviously my opinions and thoughts on that. And then I would kind of proceed to review, if you will, some of the YouTube reviews that I thought were very interesting during the week and that I would like to share with you and mention, so that heads up for you guys if you haven't seen them, and to give you my thoughts on those reviews as well. So that's in a nutshell the fountain pen therapy weekly recap concept that I think I'm going to put in place on a weekly basis. Put it this way, we'll do one and then we'll take it from there. So what was interesting this week? Let's take a look at what is it that we looked at this week and that I think is worthy of mention. So let me go to my overhead camera. First thing I'd like to show you is the pens that I inked for the week and why, if you will. This is my usual pen case when I want to bring with me several more than 6 pens. I have a 6 pen cases, and I have a 10 pen case, and this is a 12 pen case. So let me explain to you first of all how I organized this week. These are my 3 go-to Mont Blanc pens. I got my Mont Blanc 149, I've got my mobile pencil with a 0.9 pencil nib, by the way, and a Mont Blanc. I think this is a 146. If there's such a thing, it's a 146 size anyway. Ball pen that I usually use to sign documents because I don't like using document ink in my pens. So when I have to sign something permanently, I use my ball pen. Then this week I had the Mayora Impronte that was inked. Frankly, I didn't use it. Not at all. I had my Stardust Momento Zero Grande. This is very much a go-to pen for me. I've inked it with red ink, and this is the pen that I use when I want the red ink or red highlighting or writing on any of my notes. Usually red for me means either a correction or something that I want to stick out from my notes, if you will. And this is the pen I'm using. I realized in this pen that it's got a 1.5 Lifinice nib, and it's becoming more and more tedious to take notes with it just because it's a bit too thick. So yes, I'm a stub guy, but I'm learning, and I think I may have to change that nib to a 1.1 at least, if not a broad. But nonetheless, it is a go-to pen for me. The next pen I had in my pen case was this Magna Carta Mag 800, I believe. This was a disaster this week, folks. On Monday morning when I went to use it, because it was going to be a go-to broad nib number 8 size pen for me, the ink was all over the bed. It was gushing right out of this feed into the cap, spread all over the place. I made a mess on my desk and all over my fingers. So I kind of capped it and then washed it and put it away for the week. I really don't know what happened. Was it a temperature change? I mean, I live in Montreal, Canada. We have freezing temperatures these days. Is it when you put it in your bag and you shake your bag slightly that some of the ink may have been jerked around? I have no idea. I've got to look into it. Why did this pen leak? It's not a good thing. I had some great words to say about this pen and was a little bit disappointed when I opened it up on Monday morning. Please let me know if you've had any similar experiences with these Magna Carta pens. So that's the Magna Carta. On the other side, what do I have? Well, I have a pencil that I always bring with me. This is a pencil that has, believe it or not, a kind of a stub pencil nib. So even with the pencil, I like to write with a stub or an italic. It's got a flat italic point to it. So that's my pencil. Then, you know what? Lamy Safari. I don't think I've ever talked about Lamy Safari pens on my show because I kind of put these things away. I have about 5 or 6 of these, especially when I started in the hobby. These were like the first pens. And I decided to resurrect them. I've had some great experiences lately with the TWSBI Echo, and this is kind of a similar experience, if you will. So I took out my Lamy Safari, the aluminum one, with a 1.1 stub, little scratchy. It's been a long time I had not used this. This is what they refer to as the calligraphy nib. So the tines are really tight on this nib, and there's no breather hole. And I found that it was a little bit scratchy on the paper, but the more I used it, the more I think the ink flowed, and the better it was working for me. Very interesting. I think I'm going to keep it in my go-to pens. And this, of course, is the other Lamy Safari that I have. I think this is what they call a Vista, and I've got some red ink in there with a broad nib. Very nice. A quick writer, doesn't dry, so it was a go-to pen for me. Then I had my Sailor 1911. This is a very nice nib, but very thin, and I usually use this pen when I want to make very small notations, either on a document or in my journal or on a to-do list. where I need to write very, very small, usually this sailor comes through really nicely. It has, a faultless, performance. In other words, when I ink it, I open it up, it works. There's never any hard starts, so I know I can count on this sailor. I also decided to put in my weekly pen case this. Let me just get it out of here. This Scrivener. Now, I did review the Scrivener this week, so you have my review in the videos, and I felt that I was perhaps a little bit unfair to this pen. Well, first of all, in my review, I mentioned that I wasn't blown away by the pen itself, but the nib kind of salvaged the pen, in my opinion. That Schmidt nib is just fabulous. And you know what? I think that I'm beginning to like this pen more and more. And it's starting to be a go-to pen. It may serve the same purpose that my Sailor serves. It's got the Schmidt medium nib, writes really, really well. And I'm starting to realize that maybe I actually do like this pen, design, nib, and all. And I know there's another model that's sold on Amazon. I think it comes in gold, red, and blue. And I think I'm going to get that other model, and maybe I'll present it to you folks as either a review or maybe in one of my weekly recaps, such as this one. So kudos to Scrivener. Very, very nice. I think I may have been unfair and maybe came too quickly to any conclusions. I've used it all week, and I'm very, very happy. Now, what about this big blue monster here? Well, this is the Lotus Arthur that I reviewed. I think I posted my review last week. Let me tell you, folks, it's going to be very difficult for me to get rid of this pen as a go-to pen. It's just an absolute gorgeous pen in terms of comfort, in terms of writing experience. It is my pen of the week, if you will. I think I inked this pen about 3 times this week. I used it to take notes during I'm a lawyer, and we have out-of-court examinations where we take notes. We have on testimony and the like. So in a 3-hour examination, we take a hell of a lot of notes. And I used this pen and inked it maybe 2 or 3 times during the week. And let me tell you, I was just blown away once again. I was very happy when I reviewed it, and I used it for a week. No hard starts, smooth. There's no leakage to speak of. Fantastic. And by the way, I've got a special announcement to make about Lotus, and stay tuned for that. It won't be long. I will tell you what I had in mind in a couple of minutes. So there you have, if you will, the highlights of the week in terms of the pens that I inked. Now, let's look at some of the pens that I received that were delivered to me. And here they are. These are all the pens, believe it or not, that I received, and except for one, and I'll explain that in a second, and some of which I've already prepared reviews for, and some of which I may not do detailed reviews. First of all, this is what they call an ad hoc, something customized. What is it again? Let me just look at my notes here. Weird name, but it had something like to do ad hoc, custom DIY pen or something like that. But take a look at the chatoyancy on this pen. I think it's just absolutely fabulous. A very, very nice blue galaxy, nice finial, gold trimmings. Yes, Parker duofold inspiration. And surprise, surprise, it's got a number 6 medium Schmidt nib. You'll recall in previous interviews, I've just fallen in love with the Schmidt nibs. And I had fines. I had number 5 medium in that Scrivener. I had also a bold or a broad in my Benu pen, but I didn't have a medium number 6 Schmidt nib, and there you have it. It fits in so beautifully. And in fact, as we go through these pens, why don't I just give you a sampling of it? I will be doing a detailed review, by the way, on this pen, so no worries there, because I think it's worthy of mention. But just to give you an idea of, let's see how this thing writes. So this is the, what is Admoc or Amdoc? One second. Admoc. So this is the, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to ink this one. I thought I had inked it. Well, you know what? Tom here. We will do this in a proper review and show it to you. But I did want to mention it. Fine, fine pen, Admoc, and stay tuned for the review. Okay, second pen on the list that I received. I finally took the bite. This pen has been raved on by many, many people. I think you recognize it. It's the Pilot E95S series with that beautiful 14-karat nib. I've reviewed this pen. Stay tuned. I'll give you my thoughts and give you what I like and what I don't like about this pen, and especially that 14-karat nib. But there you have it. It's now part of my collection finally. The next pen that I received and that I will be posting soon, I promised that I would provide you at least once a month with an Italian pen, a fine quality writing instrument at a very reasonable price. Well, I picked up this Gioia Bella Vista. Very, very nice pen, Twilight model, and I will be reviewing this sometime very soon. Stay tuned for that. The next two pens that I purchased are the Asvine P20. Now, I did review, and I already have the purple version of this pen, but I thought that I would get the amber. Look at this amber. I mean, it reminds me of Amber of the Cat or something like that, the Pen BBS pens had. Very, very nice. And this is kind of a blue, and it reminds me of the Galaxy. Moonman M800 with this blue color, both of them in fact. And in terms of how they write, well, let's just see how these how this Asvine nibs make out. Look at this. I mean, I haven't written with this pen in about a week. Or roughly a week, and you know what? It's just excellent, 10 on 10 for this nib, as usual. That's the Asvine P20 Galaxy Blue, if you will. Let's take a look at this amber. Same thing. I mean, these Asvine medium nibs are just really, really nice. So no complaints there, folks. Another 10 on 10. Again, I received these two pens about a week ago, and piston fillers, just flawless. The next pen I got is the Hongdian N1. I realized I had the 960, or was it 956? Anyway, 960 or 956, the original Hongdian. Then I have the 91S. I also have the 9112. You know, all pens that look like a little bit like Pelikan, the M series. And I realized I didn't have the original N1. So I picked up this kind of reddish burgundy colored. Very nice. I probably will be reviewing this. I believe I did ink this one. And believe it or not, I got this in extra fine. I just realized I didn't have a... So this is the Hongdian N1 with an extra fine nib. I just wanted to try out that extra fine nib just to see what gives. And so there you have it, and I will be reviewing it sometime soon. That's the Hongdian N1. Next on my list of pens received is this Déjà Vu Jinhao 100. Now, you know, I have several Jinhaos, and as you know, they've got all kinds of colors and styles, etc. of the Jinhao 100 or the Jinhao Century. And I really like this one because of the blue galaxy color with the chatoyant resin. Very, very nice. beautiful clip. And I did like the combination of these two ivory top and bottom finial resin parts. So I figured, why not? It's a pen that I like, that I use, and this is going to be based on my writing experience. I did test it earlier, and I'm not going to review this pen because, you folks have seen the Jinhao, but thought I'd just share with you Jinhao 100 blue. Beautiful, just beautiful. And this, this medium ribs, almost writes like a broad. Very nice steel Jinhao. These nibs, let me tell you, these Chinese nibs are really, really, really surprising everybody and taking everybody by storm. And they haven't stopped. And stay tuned, I've got some thoughts about that. The next pen that I will be reviewing is this Jinhao 100. Yes, it's the Jinhao 100, but it's the mini version, if you will. And I decided to buy it in its classic black format. Again, just to ink a few words here. Jinhao 100 mini. Beautiful number 5 size Jinhao steel nib. Stay tuned. I'll give you my thoughts about this. The review should be up and running anytime soon. Now, next, another pocket pen that yes, folks, I decided to take the jump. Now, when I reviewed the M1, this is the Dieman M2, I did mention that I wasn't too enthused about the M1 and that maybe I would not bother with the M2. But I couldn't resist. I just love this color, and I love it even more now that it's in my hands. I think there's I think there's a comparison that needs to be done between the M1 and the M2, and you'll probably be seeing that again sometime soon. I will be reviewing this pen in detail, so sneak peek preview won't be long. Just a sneak peek on how this pen writes. This is the little slippery, just like its M1. Not bad. A little bit of hard starting after a week. M2, yeah, it's a little bit of hard starting, so it probably would need a little bit of priming, if you will. Yeah, there's a hard start. So I guess after a week, it's either the ink or it's got some drying issues that we'll have to deal with. But I will be reviewing this sometime soon. Then, folks, you'll remember this. I've reviewed this pen, and, I had posted my review, and then one of my viewers, or several of my viewers, realized something I hadn't realized, that I had a crack in the barrel. Take a look at that crack. It's now much wider than it was at the time that I realized, the time that I taped my review. And then, of course, I had to pull my review off air and post a revised review that mentioned this crack because several of the viewers had seen it. And then I immediately contacted Etsy and Easy Buy on Etsy and said, look, I've got a problem. She was very, very, very kind. She said she would send me a replacement cap, mentioning that perhaps this may have been caused by the in transport because of the temperature change. I do live in Canada, Montreal. We did have freezing temperatures when this pen was delivered. It may have sat there in my mailbox for maybe a couple of days, and that could explain that. The other possibility could be that when I post this pen, I may have just forced it. So again, I would not recommend that you post this pen. No need to in any event. And by the way, did I receive the replacement cap? Yes, I did. And the replacement cap is sound and perfect. I figure I'm going to keep using this cracked one and give it a go. And all kudos to it, because I believe this pen. Let me just test it. Look at this. Hongdian N24. This is more than a week without being used, with that crack. That means that the plastic inlay in there seals this pen really nicely. So there you have it, a beautiful, beautiful pen. I've got some news about Dieman Year of the Dragon pens, and it won't be long. Stay tuned for that. So those are the pens that were delivered to me this week. I also just thought I mentioned to you, and you'll see them up on the screen, or some of them. I did order a Ranga pen. It won't tell you which model, but with a Schmidt nib. Again, I want to see. I just fall in love with the Schmidt nibs. So usually order with Jinao 1.1, but I've ordered one with a Schmidt broad nib. I've ordered the Jinao 9016. Up on the screen, you'll see just a shot of that on one of the sites, Jinao 9016. It's really the younger brother or younger sister of the 9019, if you will, except it's much smaller. And for those of you who don't like girthy pens, the 9016 should fit just beautifully in your hand. It will have a number 6 size nib, of course. I think he probably has that same big juicy converter, but that's the Jinao 9016. Second or third on my list is I ordered this Wingsung 699, which is I think the 823, the Pilot 823 clone. The reason I finally ordered this pen is because I'm seriously considering buying the 823, doing my research. I'm listening to a lot of reviews, and I figured, and I heard that the 699 gives you a pretty good feel of what that pen, the actual original 823 would feel like. So there you have it. I think I'm going to, we'll be doing that. We'll get to the 699 and see how it feels. After that, I've got the Dieman 824, and again, I'm putting it up on the screen. What is it? Well, it's both in red and white. It's a different version of that red, or the Year of the Dragon pen. As you can see, the dragon is not in the barrel, but rather on the cap, and you don't have any problems about wood cracking, because I got a feeling that material is very different. But there you have it, the Dieman 824. It's been ordered. It's on its way. As soon as it arrives, you'll be the first to share in my review. I've also ordered another AdMock pen, and the other AdMock is a M800 kind of a inspired clone, if you will. There again, I'm considering buying the M600 or 800. I figured I get to see how it feels, and but the main reason for ordering this pen is the medium Schmidt nib that it comes with. So there you have the AdMock model, M800 model. I've also just seen and ordered this pen, and this is, I guess, the Jinao version of the Year of the Dragon pen. It looks like it's going to be another winner for Jinao. So there you have it. Hongdian now has come up with their dedication to the Year of the Dragon, and I have to presume that these two models are the Jinao representatives, if you will, for this year's celebrations. The next pen on my list, I think this pen just came out. At least I haven't seen it before. And you'll see up on the screen, this is the Majon P138. It's a piston pen. I have not seen a decent Majon pen in a while. Maybe this is one of them. I'm looking forward to seeing what it gives. I know there's a few choices in terms of nib selections that I had a hard time trying to understand which one to order. I think I went with a safe pick, but stay tuned for that. As soon as I get it, obviously it will be on my list for reviews. The next thing that I would like to mention is that I will be receiving another Lotus pen sometime soon. After my reviews of Indian pens, and maybe after my review of the Lotus Arthur, I was contacted by Lotus, and they asked me whether or not I'd be interested in reviewing one of their pens. And I said, sure. We came into contact, and they said they would be forwarding to me a pen for review. So I'm looking forward to receiving that pen. I won't tell you which pen it is. I myself don't know exactly which one it is. So when I get it, I will announce my sneak preview for it, and that pen as well will be part of my review, of course. Now, let's cut back. Here we go. The next thing I think that I'd like to share with you is what kind of trends I see. I do a lot of surfing. I don't know if you guys do the same thing, but almost on a daily basis, I have, I check various retailers to see what new arrivals they have. Secondly, I check AliExpress. I check Amazon, especially from Dieman and Asvine, and I check Etsy. Temu is kind of entering the picture as well, just to see what kind of new pens are on the block, so to speak, and to see if there's any trends that I'm noticing. There's a couple of trends that I want to mention that I've noticed, and that is in the Chinese pens anyway. I've seen Wingsung come out with many options with gold nibs. And I've got to tell you, I've seen I'm just looking at my notes here, the Wingsung 630 with that juicy number 8, 14 karat nib at approximately $240 Canadian. I've seen the Wingsung 629 with a 14 karat nib at about $140 Canadian. I've seen the Wingsung 699 with a 14 karat nib. In fact, I saw it only after I ordered my ordinary steel nibbed version of that pen. Otherwise, I would have ordered the gold nib because it's only $130 Canadian. And I've seen Hero with a couple of options. That Admoc pen brand I've seen also with 14 karat nibs. So I'm starting to notice that they're coming out. The Chinese are starting to come out with gold nibs, which is an interesting option. And we'll see in one of the reviews that I recommend by ShakMD. He just reviewed that 18 karat gold Wingsung 600. It's about $397 Canadian dollars, but he's just raving about it. He compared it to the 149, the Montblanc 149. He actually also swapped the nibs, believe it or not, between the 149 and that Wingsung. It's an ebonite pen, big and girthy, and just a gorgeous pen. And I gotta tell you, now it's a showdown between getting the Pilot A23 or spending even more money for a Pelican M600 or even an M800, or do I get this Wingsung 18 karat P600 model? Stay tuned, folks. So those are the other trend that I noticed on Chinese pens is they're getting more and more expensive. Now these buggers better not start to disappoint us, but I've seen too many pens at the $70, $80 price mark, Canadian anyway. Jinao is probably the only one that's really keeping their prices low as usual, but Ungdian is slowly inching up. Asvine hasn't come up with any recent pens recently. I know that Wingsung has more expensive pens. We've got Admoc that is coming in with more expensive pens. So I just hope, sincerely hope, it's not a trend. Now, I did mention that once before, and I know that Chris Rapp of Pen Talk mentioned to me in one of his comments that it's just inflation. I think, everything costs much more, so there's no surprise there. Pens are not any different. And maybe that's it, but I just hope they're not getting greedy and they're not making those affordable Chinese pens unaffordable. And then we've got to look for other alternatives. So that's a trend that I think we should all be looking out for. Next thing is I do want to mention I get a Leonardo Officina Italiana, kind of a newsletter, from time to time, and I just got one. I'll put it up on the screen. They're doing a collaboration with not only Brooks, as you know, but Jonathan Brooks with his resins, but they're doing a special collaboration with this nibmeister by the name of Joshua Lax. And they're on their Magico pens, they're offering as an option this triple extra fine nib, which has a very, very fine line but is extremely smooth. And what's special about it is that depending on the angle that you're writing with, it'll give you a variety or a thicker line. And I'm seriously considering, the prices are pretty good. They're all under $200 Canadian, American dollars. I may want to, and I do need a Magico for my collection. I don't have one yet. And maybe I will take the jump. I'm just trying to figure out which model to take. There's different resins, and I might very well try that extra or that triple extra fine nib. So please look out for that. I will leave all the links, of course, to anything that's worthy in my recap down below in my description, so you can take a look at that. Another newsworthy item is that Applebaum, you may have heard, is closed their Boston store. I just hope that doesn't. I think I've heard that it won't affect his internet retail sales. So, we can always, you're after all, you are ordering from a website, and I'm just hoping that the transportation costs won't be, because it's going to come from Europe, won't be affected too much. I believe my pens, when I ordered them, were probably coming from the Boston store, although I'm not sure. I just hope that prices are in line now that he's closed his Boston store. It was some people, obviously, especially those in the Boston area, were a little bit surprised and sorry to see them go, but that's the name of the game, I guess. And so there you have it. That's another newsworthy topic that I did want to cover. Another newsworthy newsletter is, I keep mentioning Giardino Italiano, and I'll just put up maybe on the screen the site. The Giardino Italiano site, you should look at the bottom, as you can see in this picture that I'm probably putting up now. There's an outlet store. That's the store you should peruse from time to time. They have Italian pens in an outlet sort of cheaper priced sales, closing sales, that sort of thing. And that's where I got a lot of my old stock Delta pens. So you should look out for that Giardino Italiano. They usually come up with some really good specials for Italian pens. And that may be interesting for you folks. So there you have some of the trends that I've been looking at. Now let's look at the next thing I want to look at. I'm just looking at my notes here. Oh yes, I've seen a couple of reviews that I think are worthy of mention. And some people say, well, what are you doing, making reference to other reviewers? That's the competition. Not at all. I don't consider them my competition. I consider them my colleagues. They're part of our fountain pen community. I know that my viewers know that they exist. I have no illusions. I know that viewers like to see many reviews. It's part of our hobby to look at reviews and see what other people offer as their, in terms of their opinions, and explain trends, etc. So I've got a couple of reviews that were put up this week that I think are worthy of mention. I mentioned the ShakMD review of that Wing Sung P600 18 karat nib pen. Take a look at that review. Really fascinating. He did a good job. If you don't fall in love with that pen after you've seen that review, then I don't know how anybody could have done it any better. I also have a Chris Rapp 52 pen talk that's come around to review the N24, the Ongdian N24 Ear, the Dragon pen. And Chris has technical knowledge that, not a lot of people have. And I think he provides some very, very interesting insights on that N24, especially on the material and how they did that the dragon that appears, the metal dragon that appears on the barrel, at least for the N24. And he has his own thoughts and views about the pen. So take a look at that review. Then you have Sbrebrown has reviewed what I think is become a real craze in our community, which is the Magna Carta M600, and especially with that flex nib. If you guys are into flex nibs, I just wish I could. I may start to learn a little bit, just because I watched these videos, including Mr. Brown's or Dr. Brown's video, and let me tell you, that flex nib looks really, really enticing. So anybody who's interested in getting a flex nib that is a vintage style flex, well, there you have it. Take a look at that at Dr. Brown's review. I think you'll find it very, very interesting. Then you had Inquiring Minds, a fellow Canadian from Calgary, and Doug put up an interview where he, gives us his 5 top Chinese pens, not yearly, but his top 5 Chinese pens. I was a little surprised not to see an Dieman in his list, but that is his opinion. He's a well-versed and knowledgeable guy, and I can perfectly understand his choices, but take a look at that video. Interesting, again, as usual. I think that he always does a great job, and he has a great sense of humor and very entertaining. So please take a look at that. Then you have Wet Pens. I don't know if you guys have seen Wet Pens, but I think that Matthew from Wet Pens probably does some of the best produced reviews that we have on YouTube. Unique, simple, to the point, well-versed, no BS, always very interesting, very entertaining. And Matthew's come up with his own collection, or his own nib, his own inks. He's manufactured, or he's put together 3 inks, and he's going to see how the sales go, and to see whether or not he's going to do any more. But take a look at his recent review where he shows you those 3 inks. Fabulous, fabulous inks. I mean, finally I've got somebody who is giving me bluish green inks with shading and some sheen, and none of that shimmer, because that shimmer can be very, very, very dangerous for our pens. But please take a look at it. Encourage him. I think he's selling his inks in very nice bottles, great packaging for like $15 US plus I guess shipping. I've ordered my 3, and from what I heard, I started to look at some of the comments. It looks like they're very popular, and it's a go-to. I mean, it's a way for him to raise money for his channel rather than charge membership fees and all the rest of it. He thought that he would create some inks, and he has done just a fabulous job. I mean, if they're as good as they look, I'm really looking forward to receiving them. And of course, I will be the first one to review those inks when I get them. So Matthew, good luck. I think it's a great thing you're doing. I think you'll be very surprised. You're probably going to run out and sell out of those inks real quick. So you may be forced to give us more sampling of your talents. So there you go. Thank you very much again, Matthew. Lastly, but not least, in the last month, I have discovered a channel, and I've discovered a reviewer and a pen enthusiast that is absolutely, who is absolutely a passionate and well-versed gentleman by the name of Hemingway Jones, or at least that's his pen name, if you will. Mr. Jones, or Hemingway Jones, has reviews of journals, of inks, of pens, very unique style. But he has this live streaming weekly. I think it's Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. I think I've caught his last 3 live blogs or live videos. So interesting, Mr. Jones. So interesting. Congratulations. And in fact, I think he's the inspiration for me doing what I'm doing right now. I just felt that there's got to be another way that I can express my fountain pen therapy or my passion for this hobby other than simply reviewing a pen or simply reviewing an ink or a journal. And Hemingway Jones has given me several ideas, but please take a look at his reviews. Always interesting, with a great Bostonian accent. I think it's a Boston accent. A good fellow American. I know he likes Canada as well because he mentions Quebec City quite often. So there you have it. Hemingway Jones, please take a look at his videos. I think they're just very, very entertaining. And I know I will be joining. I think I'm going to become a member of his channel, and I will probably join his live show next week, as opposed to just seeing it afterwards in a taped version. So there you have it, folks. I don't know if this is going to take off, if I've said anything of any value for you, if this has been in any way entertaining. I've made a lot of comments. I tried to go quickly here and maybe too quick, covered a lot of topics, but please provide me with your comments. Let me know if this is an interesting concept, whether or not it all serves any purpose for you. And, you know, based on the comments, I'll see whether or not I should maintain this on a weekly basis. But you know me, even if I have only 50 viewers watching, I may end up doing this anyway, just because for me, it's a vehicle to express my passion. And hopefully I've done it for my first episode. So there you have it. Grazie molto. Thank you very, very much. Please subscribe. Please provide me your comments. And stay tuned. And maybe stay tuned for my weekly recap next week. Ciao.